All right, welcome. If your life sometimes seems difficult or unpleasant, then I would like to invite you to question, how do you know that that's true? Now, most of us, most likely, I would say probably, are so accustomed to moving so fast. And here I'm referring to inwardly, but perhaps outwardly as well, but certainly inwardly, so fast. We don't even know where to begin questioning things. It doesn't even seem possible because so much seems so real, so solid, so definite. That's just the way it is. It's just how things are. It's how life is. It's how it works. It's what it's made of. And that's the end of the story. There's just me here in this world, and there's inevitable suffering, and that's just how it is. And what am I going to do about it? What am I going to do with it? How am I going to survive? How am I going to endure? How am I going to manage? These are the assumptions that most of us make most of the time. We think that there's just how things are, and that's a given, that's fixed. And then we're trying to manage that. And how well is that working? And you can answer it's not working very well because that would be the truth, because it's like it's an impossible sort of situation that you've constructed for yourself. So that is what I would like to investigate a little bit today. Just a reminder that this is Relax into Wholeness. It's a weekly meeting where we gather together to explore themes and topics which are intended to help you to discover something about yourself, something fundamental, something of true value, something that can help you much more deeply than the ways in which you've been probably trying to help yourself. So it's really about self-knowledge. Now, along the way, we cover a whole lot of different topics, and each of those topics, in and of themselves, when you apply them to your life, may give you various perceived benefits, and that's great. And again, fundamentally, my intention with these meetings is to support self-knowledge because self-knowledge is what is enduring because the self that you might gain knowledge of is enduring, perhaps. So that is the overall intention. Now, as I said, today I'd like to explore questioning some of the assumptions that you make about how things are, about what things are, because as I've hinted at, or maybe even said explicitly, those assumptions that you're making, they lead you to tremendous amounts of suffering. and the suffering is not something that you're going to solve at the same level at which you have created that suffering. If that's not already evident to you, then take a moment to consider that. I mean, how long have you been trying to solve these problems? Haven't you been trying to solve these problems like kind of most, if not all, of your life? Now, I know the specifics of how the problem is showing up right now might be new-ish, or it might not be. Depends. For some of you, recognize it's the same problem. It's always been the same problem. It's just the same old problem. And some of you, you might say, no, 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 it's a totally different problem. I've never had this problem before. But just take a look and notice what's underneath that. You'll see it's the same fundamental problem. It just shows up in a different outfit, and you get fooled. And you say, oh, I don't recognize this. This is a totally different problem. I've never experienced this problem before. Look how different it is. It's all dressed in blue. My problem is red. This isn't my problem at all. This is a new problem. But it's always the same fundamental problems if you really take a look. So you've been trying to solve the problem or problems most, if not all of your life. Hasn't worked. Now, how much longer are you going to keep trying to solve the same problems in the same kinds of ways? I don't know the answer to that question. I mean, I hope that you stop trying to solve the problems in the same sorts of ways that have not worked because they're not going to work. Because you're you've been trying to solve the problems at a level at which they're insoluble. You'll just keep going round and round. It's a game of whack-a-mole. So it's not literally a game of whack-a-mole, but it's certainly a lot like a game of whack-a-mole. If you don't know the game whack-a-mole, I don't encourage you to play it because it's a stupid game. So says me. I mean, I can't understand the appeal, but it's an arcade game that involves a box with mechanical moles that pop up through holes, and like the name of the game says, you whack them with the mallet. Doesn't hurt them because they're mechanical moles. They're not real living moles. But you whack them, and then lo and behold, another one pops up, and then you whack that one, and then another one pops up, and you whack that one. Whack-a-mole. If you're wondering what's the point, that's it. You just whack a mole. It's in the name of the game, whack-a-mole. That's all you do. You just whack a mole. And once you've whacked a mole, you get to whack another one, and then another one, and then another one. So this is how it is with trying to solve the problem at the same level. We just you whack it, and then it pops up again. I mean, and that's if you're lucky. I mean, for most of us, we're not even able to successfully whack it. You know, I mean, I'm not sure if that's good or bad, actually. It's kind of in some ways it's worse if you're able to whack them all, because I'm using that now metaphorically just so because some people are going to get confused. What I mean is if you sometimes can fool yourself into thinking that you've solved the problem at that level, in some ways I think that's worse than not having the illusion that you solved the problem at that level, because at least as long as you don't perceive that you solved the problem at that level, then you've got at least that much self-honesty to recognize it's like, I have not solved this problem. But if you think you've solved the problem, then you can fool yourself into thinking, oh, I've solved that problem. This other problem that has appeared, it's not the same problem at all. It's a completely different problem. It looks like a mole, sounds like a mole, but it's not a mole at all. This is not definitely not a mole. Uh, so this is the, but just some self-honesty will help you to recognize that you've been trying to solve the same problems it's like underneath it all, just notice there's fundamental assumptions. I am not enough. I don't have enough. There's something wrong with me. I'm shameful. I'm bad. I'm wrong. I'm deficient. I'm inadequate. These kinds of things. Ring a bell? Strike a chord? It should if you've got, some honest self-reflection, you'll notice. So as long as you have those underlying assumptions there, then you cannot solve the problem just by looking at its superficial manifestations. So if what's fundamentally at work, if I say, well, I seem to not have enough money. Uh, so money is my problem. I think money is my problem. If I manage to solve that problem at that level, then but I haven't really addressed what's really going on, then first of all, it's probably not going to be sustained. But that's the least of the problems, because even if it was sustained, the underlying problem has not been addressed. I'm still acting in this world as though it's true that I'm not enough, I'm not good enough, there's something wrong with me, whatever the underlying thing is. So we go about life, and like I said, we're going at 1,000,000 miles an hour. That's also a metaphor. So it's not, you're probably not literally, well, you might be going 1,000,000 miles an hour. I'm just trying to think about what speed of light is. Anyway, but that aside, you internally, there's so much that's happening so fast that you overlook it. So these underlying assumptions about what is true, about who you are, about life, about what the relationship is between you and life, what all of this is, what it means, how it works. These are all happening so fast that you think that that is true. You mistake your assumptions for truth with a capital T. And so it becomes invisible to you. And so for you, it's just simply true that that's how it is. That's what this is. These are the rules of the game. And that will never change. That's just how it is. So then you're trying to figure out how to manipulate things out in order to get what you think you want, in spite of the things that you believe to be underlying truths, which many of which would seem to run counter to what it is that you want. So if you sometimes perceive that it's all hopeless, that's why. It's because you're running up against uh, these assumptions that you've made about how things work, what is true, who you are, what reality is, what your relationship with reality is. You're running up against those assumptions, and you've come to, on some level, you've discovered that it seems like you actually cannot overcome those things with what you have available to you. So then if the assumptions that you make, if those underlying assumptions were true, then the uh, determination that it's hopeless would be accurate. So uh, it's so many people find themselves in this bind where they realize in some ways that it just seems hopeless. I cannot succeed. I'm doomed forever to suffer. And what they don't do is question the underlying assumptions. Because nobody told them. Nobody pointed it out to them. Because it's something that almost everyone is doing. Almost everyone is making these assumptions. And many people are playing this game where they uh, pretend as though uh, there are no assumptions. So it's taboo to question. Just notice what happened. Don't bother. I was going to say notice what happens if you were to ask these questions, the kinds of questions that I'll propose to you momentarily. To most people would become very uncomfortable. They would reject it. They would reject maybe even you, call you names, be very dismissive. But for that reason, don't bother. It would just be a waste of your time, really, other than just to satisfy your curiosity that it is true that most people are not willing to engage in this kind of inquiry because it's taboo. It's dangerous. I mean, to suffering. It's dangerous to suffering. It's not dangerous for you, but it's dangerous for the all of the concepts that people have mistaken for reality. So this is why people don't want to question, because they mistake their concepts for reality itself. And they think that if the concepts were found to be empty, then that would mean that reality is empty, or reality is uh, suddenly somehow under attack, or is shaky somehow, which is absurd because reality is that which is underpinning everything. Reality is completely stable. Reality does not, it is in no way, has no concerns whatsoever about you questioning anything. Reality is not going to be shaken up. Reality is unshakable. When everything else that can be shaken is shaken, reality is what remains. So it doesn't depend upon anything. It's independent. But because most people mistake their concepts for reality, they are afraid to question things. Well, I guess now the only question is how would one go about questioning? This will not be a surprise to most of you, I don't think. Start by slowing down. Because when you're moving fast internally, you really can't question. It would be like trying to make a 90-degree turn in a vehicle when you are moving at 100 miles an hour. You need to slow down if you want to do something like that. And how much do you need to slow down? Well, probably even more than you've slowed down if you're still asking that question. Because once you slow down enough, then becomes rather self-evident. So let's try it out together right now. So might it be possible for you right now to slow down internally? And just to ask that question sincerely begins the process. So whatever answers you get, like, yes, it's possible, no, it's not possible, how is it possible, whatever kinds of answers you get, it's irrelevant. Doesn't matter at this stage. Just asking the question and turning your attention inward so that you can start to notice what's even going on. What am I even referring to when I say moving fast internally? I mean, hopefully it's obvious that there's you're not literally running or driving a vehicle or something like that within yourself. So it's more of a metaphor. So you have to start to shift into perceiving differently. Just start to notice within yourself. Could you allow yourself to begin to relax, let go? See, most of us have become so accustomed to a certain mode where we are trying to get somewhere or we're trying to achieve something. So it requires this constant effort. And the invitation here is just for a moment to notice that that has not been giving the complete results that you want. So if you want to pick it up again and do more with that, more of the same old, you're welcome to do that. And just as an experiment right now, what would it be to let go of that right now so that you could allow yourself to actually just start to notice what's really happening and what is really happening? What could you say about it? you really are curious and you're not willing to settle for some word or phrase, but you really want to know for yourself directly what is this actually that's happening, then you'll start to actually experience what I'm referring to when I'm inviting you to slow down. So, another way of understanding it would be in a negative sense, not grasping at concepts, but rather to actually just stay open to what is actually here as it is, which cannot be grasped. So you can't get this with a concept. Notice that any concept fails to actually, and it's not because it could do otherwise. It's just that it is not capable of actually grasping what it is pointing to. So if we use the word apple, then that is pointing to something, some experience, but it's not capable of actually grasping it. And even if you were to be more specific, if I was to say, well, let's talk about the taste of an apple. You could describe the taste of the apple using other concepts. It's sweet, it's juicy, it's tart. You'd use these concepts and they're pointing to something, but they can never fully grasp it because the reality is ungraspable. You just cannot grasp it. So you could try, which most of us have been trying to do. This is how we usually try to solve our problems. We want to grasp enough and manipulate enough and then declare that we came out victorious. And I'm suggesting that there's value in actually investigating what's really here. So you could notice as I've been inviting you to that what's here cannot be grasped. So this doesn't make it wrong or bad to use words to point to things, to communicate, to uh, use in the creative process. It's fine to the degree that it works. I'm just inviting in in those aspects of your experience where it's not working. Investigate that so that you can find out what is blocking and is it what you think? Because we always there's always some thoughts there about what it is, some concepts. And if you don't investigate, you're going to keep on running up against the same obstacles over and over and over and over and over. And by investigating and questioning, then perhaps you discover that the obstacles are not what you thought they were. I mean, it's actually certain that the obstacles are not what you thought they were. And the degree to which they are not what you thought they were might surprise you. In fact, sometimes it's like we've got to completely invert it. Sometimes what we perceive as the obstacle is actually the way. That's how disoriented we can become. So, but you can't know, you can't find out until or unless you're willing to sincerely investigate. So, just by slowing down in this way. So, I'm using that term slow down, but if you don't like that term, use a different term. It's just a term that I'm using to point to and invite an investigation on your part. So again, like I said, you can just notice, what is this really that's happening here? And when you ask this question, what is this really that's happening here? Then you hopefully start to realize the things that you think this is about. Right? You think that you know something about this, whatever this refers to. So this could refer to your problem, it could refer to this meeting, it could refer to life in general, it could refer to whatever, anything. We could start with this meeting. If you want to investigate something else, that's totally fine. But just to direct this a little bit, I'll investigate this meeting. So each of us is going to have our own ideas about what this meeting is. I mean, I do set an intention, which I express at the beginning of most of these meetings, right? I talk about how this is, uh, these meetings there's an intention for these meetings, which is to discover self-knowledge. Right? But despite that, I mean, it's awfully broad anyway. But even if it was more specific, it would still be open to all of our individual interpretations. We're all going to bring our own biases to that without even realizing it, and without realizing that not only are you doing it, but so is everybody else. So then we've got all of these people bringing all of their own biases, their own assumptions, their own interpretations, their own definitions, and then we pretend like there's a thing here. There's no thing here. What is the thing here? It's if there was anything here, we don't know what it is because everybody's got their baggage that they're coming with. So you're not actually accessing what's here, you're accessing your own filters. So we've got all of these people here, and everybody's having their own experience. So to even call this a meeting is it's kind of deceptive. It's not clear that there's any meeting going on at all. And if there was a meeting, what would be meeting? What would be meeting what? But this is what can be investigated, you see. So you could start to notice what's actually here right now in this so-called meeting. And just notice as you do that, then what should happen is that your own assumptions and biases start to be revealed to you. What do I mean by that? Well, just notice, what do you think this is? I mean, why are you here? Why do you think you're here? What do you think you're going to get from it? What motivated you to show up? because that's part of your definition. It's part of what you think this is about. So let's say that I am attending this meeting and I when I investigate, I realize, well, I'm attending because I think this is going to help me to solve my problems. Great. So then I have an assumption, there are underlying assumptions to that, such as that there's such a thing as a problem, there's such a thing as me, and it's possible that I could have a problem. It's also possible that a problem could be solved, and that in particular, this problem that I have could be solved. Even more specifically, it's possible the problem that I have could be solved by me, and that I could solve that problem once I have something that I'm presently lacking, and that I might get whatever it is that I'm lacking in this meeting. I mean, I could go on. There's more and more and more, right? I mean, for every assumption, then you can there's more assumptions underlying that. I mean, if I'm lacking, if I have a problem and I have the problem because I'm lacking something, and it's possible for me to solve that problem by gaining whatever it is that I'm lacking, well, then there's an underlying assumption that wh whatever it is that I am is capable of lacking. But how do I know that that's true? You see, I mean, if I don't know, fortunately, unfortunately, I'm probably not going to succeed today. I'm laughing just because the underlying assumptions there are hilarious, but I'm probably not going to succeed. And so therefore, many of you will probably continue to perceive that you do have problems that you will want to solve in life. But if I did succeed, then you would not show up to these meetings anymore. Well, or maybe you would show up for a different reason. Or maybe you would just start to notice that the real reason why you're showing up has nothing to do with what you think it is. Maybe the real reason for everything is not what you think it is. That's much closer to the truth, isn't it? Because you might start to notice that you've just invented stories about everything. And a lot of those stories are not actually working well for you. I mean, see, this is a fascinating thing because we are often we have become so hypnotized that we think that there is a reality out there that we are experiencing. Isn't that true? Don't you think there's a reality out there that you're experiencing? So there's a meeting that's happening out there and you're attending it. That's what you would think. You would think that there's a meeting out there and you're attending it. You would think that there are things happening in the world and you are experiencing them. You think there's a world out there. And you think that world has certain characteristics. You think it's true. But how do you know it's true? The answer to that is you don't. You only think it's true. You think it's true, and then you believe it. And if you're feeling confused, then you're probably following along well. Now, you could go a lot of directions with this, right? This could lead you to some kind of existential crisis where you determine that you don't even exist. And there, like I said, and there is no reality, right? People will do that. They'll say, I don't exist and there is no reality, which is nonsense. You do exist and there is reality. It's what's already here, it's given. It just doesn't require anything in order to be, it's unconditional. You've just mistaken your thoughts about reality for reality. And when you question your thoughts about reality, then you start to think there is no reality. Or if you mistake your thoughts about yourself for yourself, and when you question your thoughts about yourself, then you start to think you don't exist. But it's nonsense. You exist. It's obvious. It's just that you can't. You are not. What you are is not capturable by any kind of concept. It's ungraspable. And you, like all of us, have tried to grasp something, and then you declare that you are that which you used to try and grasp something. But you came up empty handed, except for the concept. So you mistake the concept for the reality, but it's just not true. And you become anxious about the concept. I mean, you just notice all the things you're worried about. What are you worried about? You're worried about experiencing pain. You're worried about not having money. You're worried about not having shelter. You're worried about being rejected. You're worried about losing love and approval. I mean, these are the things you're worried about, right? Now, how do you know that those are real? How do you know those are real things? It's because you think about it. You have thoughts about it. You can imagine these things. You say, oh, I experienced pain in the past. I'm afraid I'll experience pain in the future. You'll even go so far as to say, I'm experiencing pain right now. I know it, which is not true. You can't experience pain right now. All the things that you're afraid of are things that they're concepts that you've made up, and then you mistake that for reality. And you scare yourself, and then you use that as reasons why you can't. I can't succeed because of these reasons. I can't succeed because I'm a failure. I can't succeed because I'm not good looking enough. I can't succeed because I'm not smart enough. I can't succeed because there's just something wrong with me. I can't succeed because I'm bad. I can't succeed because no one loves me. And then and then those become the building blocks of the whole structure. So then you have experiences and you assign meaning to those experiences based on the underlying assumptions. Well, look, there's proof. I didn't succeed in this situation, and I didn't succeed because I'm not smart enough. I already knew it was true that I'm not smart enough and that that would prevent me from succeeding. Here's proof. That's what this situation means. Just file that away as in the folder labeled evidence that I'm not smart enough. Get a big fat folder. I'm not smart enough. I'm not good enough. I'm not attractive enough. I'm not lovable. I'm not worthy, etc. You get all your folders filled that you fill with all of these experiences that you assign these meanings to. Based on what? Something you made up. It's all empty. I shouldn't say that. No, that's it's the wrong thing to say because that will lead you to the wrong conclusion. So let me not say that it's empty. I mean, it's it's empty of the negative meaning that you've imagined, but it's full of life. It's full of life. So notice you can think whatever you think about this moment. You know, maybe you're thinking that you're you're in the best state ever of your life. But let's imagine possibly that you would not declare that this right now is the best state of your life. So if this was not the best state of your life, or let's say not the best possible state. So if this is not the best possible state, if there are better possible states to be had, then this moment right now is deficient, isn't it? If there's a better possible state, and than what you're experiencing right now, then this right now is deficient. That's the magic that we work. We take uh, what is neither good nor bad, and we can spin it in such a way that it can be either, or it appears to be either. So suddenly you've got a problem. Oh, this is not the best possible state. This moment is deficient. I'm deficient. Life is deficient. Somehow deficiencies is a characteristic of life. I have to be afraid. I have to be on guard. I have to try hard. But how do you know that it's true? How do you know it's true that there's a better possible state? How do you know it's true that this is deficient? Now you could say, well, because I've experienced a better state, or I intuitively know that there's a better state. You can come up with all kinds of things, well, the some teacher said that it's so, some scripture said that it's so. I watched a video on YouTube where some AI voiceover told me that it's so. So how do you know though? How do you know? Slow it down. Can you actually know? Can you actually know that it's true? Can you know that it's true that there's a problem? Now, some people will really have a strong reaction to this. So just notice if you have a strong reaction, just notice that. Isn't that interesting? It's just an invitation to inquire, just to notice, just to see what's actually here that you can actually know or say something about. What's the actual experience? What's really happening? Can you know for sure that there's a problem? And does that mean anything? Doesn't mean anything. This is what I'm saying. People will do all kinds of stuff with this. They'll do all kinds of weird things with it. They'll declare that it means things. Oh, it means some people will go a negative route with it. Well, it means that life is empty and meaningless, and so it's just this drab, dull thing forever and ever. It's just going to be this dull, drab thing, empty, pointless. Really? How do you know that? And by the way, it sounds like a problem. But find out if there's a problem. Like, is there actually a problem? Can you know that there's a problem? So all of these things just end up being the assumptions of problems that then we resist. So it creates all this. It's just a waste of energy. It's a waste of your life force. Fighting against your own thoughts, basically. And again, people want to give meaning to this that where there's, I mean, you're welcome to do it, but is the meaning that you're assigning giving you good results? Are you happy with that or not? And if you're not, then why do it when you have the ability to actually question and observe and find out what's going on? Is it true? And you can discover that you have no proof of a problem. Why would you then assume it to be true when there's no evidence of it? But people will assume that it's true and then they'll resist it. And then they get upset. And then they want to know why is it that they seem to be unable to succeed in achieving the things that they want? Well, because your energy is consumed by resisting the problems. Enormous amounts of energy consumed by resisting problems of your own invention. Problems that have no substance other than the energy that you invest in resisting them, right? So say, I know it exists because I can feel it. Yes, you can feel it because you're resisting it. If it wasn't real, why would I feel so bad? Well, check it out. But most people still they won't they won't do this. They won't investigate. They won't question because they'll come up with all kinds of reasons why not. I don't have time. I don't have time. Don't have time. So I got to solve the problems of my life. Once I've solved the problems of my life, then I can dedicate myself to more of this kind of inquiry. This is not practical enough. I have to deal with the practical things in my life. And again, how well is that working out for you? I'm asking these, I asked that question, how well is it working out for you? I mean, I'm I'm right there with you, I'm not speaking to you from some kind of pedestal. I'm speaking from experience. And I'm just relaying that to you that I'm well aware of many of the reasons why a person might reject this invitation. And so far, I haven't found any reason that actually went upon investigation makes any sense. Because if you have, if you insist that you have problems and the way that you've been trying to solve those problems is not working, and those so-called problems are producing for you suffering, then I think it's wise to acknowledge and just tell the truth that your whole life is actually organized around that. If you tell the truth, that's what's going on. Your whole life is organized around that suffering. You are trying to get rid of the suffering. You're trying to distract yourself from the suffering. You're trying to avoid the suffering. You're trying to overcome the suffering. You're trying all kinds of various strategies relative to the suffering. Wouldn't it make sense to investigate what is the actual nature and substance of the suffering? Because none of the other stuff is giving you satisfactory results. I mean, in some ways, I would say that it was foolish of me to have said any of this because it's much safer in many ways to keep it on a more superficial level. That I mean, people will misunderstand no matter what, but at least on the more superficial level, people will misunderstand and won't be that dangerous. But now this is much more fundamental, and so misunderstandings can have more significant consequences for better or for worse, uh, which is uh, something that I do take seriously. So I guess that's part of why we have the group coaching. So for those who are here live, we will do the group coaching in just a moment. And if you have questions about anything that we've explored today or anything else, you're welcome to bring those up. For those who will watch this on YouTube, I invite you to join live so that you can ask questions and get support during the group coaching portion that follows the live talk. You can do that by first you need to get the information for how to join live, and then you just click the link to join live at the right time. But in order to get that information, you can go to my website, joeylaw.com, and you can sign up there and you'll get the information emailed to you. The way that works is that it comes automatically as part of an email response once you sign up for whatever is being offered on the homepage. Right now, it is the five. It's an ebook. It's a free ebook. It's five of the uh, fundamental laws that govern creation, and it's I think a very worthwhile read. It will be helpful and clarifying, and so I encourage you to check that out. And in addition to that, when you sign up for that, you'll also get an email that will give you the information so you can join these meetings live. So that's how you can do that. Um, I guess that's all I'm going to say for now. So for those who do watch this on YouTube, then I'm going to sign off. So blessings to you and bye for now.